Real quick before the video starts, I have a new channel based around green tech stories on 4chan, and I'll be uploading videos daily over there. If you're interested, I'll leave a link to the channel in the description. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a throwaway account in the AITA subreddit. The post is titled, "I broke up with my GF because she slept with someone else after she said I love you. I was close friends with my girlfriend for a few years. Recently, she asked me out, which was strange because I do not think she ever saw me that way. She confessed that she had actually been in love with me for quite some time. To be honest, I did not know if this was the right decision, but I told her I felt the same. After a few dates, things were going well until she brought up the topic of exclusivity. I asked, wait, we were not exclusive. She said we had never discussed it. I told her that when she said she loved me, that was about as exclusive as one could be without explicitly saying so. I asked her if she had been seeing anyone else or sleeping with anyone while dating me. She admitted that she had a one-night stand. I told her she was out of her mind and that we were done. She tried to apologize and said she did not think we were exclusive, but I told her she was just using that as an excuse. Am I the OP who is wrong here? Or am I simply so out of touch with modern dating that I assume saying I love you should imply exclusivity? Update. Thank you all for your comments. I ran into my now ex-girlfriend since we still share a friend group. She tried to talk to me and I listened to what she had to say. Nothing she said changed my mind. She apologized, said she misunderstood, and told me that she loves me and regrets what she did. I told her thank you, but it is too late now. She hurt me and I do not think I can trust her. I told her I need some space from her. So yes, that is pretty much how it went. Something I learned is that the whole idea of being exclusive is strange. I find it really sad that some people want to live life based on technicalities. I am very curious how long you would be willing to continue like this. How many months would you be comfortable with? Also, she could have brought it up before she slept with anyone. Honestly, this is partly why I do not think I can trust her. I believe she was relying on being technically acceptable. Sadly, I am not built that way. You can try to rationalize or lawyer my emotions all you want, but I am not going to tolerate behavior like that just because of so-called technicalities. Turiel said, I will never understand the idea of speaking with another human being, telling them that you love them and that you want a relationship, only for that person to act surprised when you are upset that they slept with someone else. Her only response was that we had not had the exclusivity talk yet. If you want to play by technicalities, then it is equally valid to say, we also did not say it was acceptable to sleep with other people either. Seriously, what does the phrase I love you even mean to this woman? OP masterfully avoided a disaster before it could escalate into something far worse. Simple Cup said, nah, not the asshole. It is ridiculous that she thought that would be acceptable. To this user, Significant Secret said, I have encountered many men in wider social circles who have done this exact thing to their partners. The pattern usually goes like this. They have been dating for about 6 months, talking every day and spending most of their free time at each other's places. Then he sleeps with someone else. She becomes upset and plans to leave him for cheating. He argues that it is not cheating because they never had the talk about being exclusive and she simply assumed it. This is a much more common behavior among the emotionally immature and entitled than one might think. Overall, it is just a coward's excuse for someone who wants to do whatever they please. Still, communication and being explicit and clear about expectations is never a bad thing. This next post was made by a throwaway account in the advice subreddit. The post is titled, Should I Leave My Family Business? At the moment, I work for my father and my younger brother is also in the business. We are a construction firm. I have worked at the company since I was 14, doing office work over the summers all the way through college. After earning my degree and working elsewhere for 7 years, I came back to the family business and have been working my way into more and more of a leadership role for nearly 10 years. My dad is my boss, but he is not a good delegator, manager, or mentor. He is a great project manager, knows the industry like the back of his hand, and is good at his job, but he is very much not a teacher or long-term planner. On paper and somewhat by his actions, I am his heir apparent, but in reality, I am just being given a little bit of everything without any ownership over anything, and it is overwhelming. I am now the point person on some aspect of almost every part of the company: information technology, human resources, management, accounting, office management, marketing, and on top of that, I keep getting construction projects to manage. I started here as a project manager, and none of our other project managers have any other office or administrative responsibilities, just me. I keep trying to get out of project management because it is hard to prioritize employee reviews or revamping the website when you are constantly pulled into project issues, which by definition need to take priority because they pay the mortgage. But every time I am close to finishing my last project, a really great prospect comes up and we do not have the staff to handle it. So I end up taking it on, and I am back on the hook for another 9 to 12 months of project management work, taking up 50% of my time. Every time we have tried to make a plan for me to take over a specific part of my father's role or our chief financial officer's role, it just does not happen. They cannot actually let go. Meanwhile, I'm just getting all the mundane tasks put on my plate, like ordering more laptops or figuring out how to run certain reports in our accounting software. These tasks do not interest me. I want to be big picture. I want to be strategic. We just had a strategic planning retreat 2 months ago, which I organized, pulled together the data and agenda for, and facilitated, all of which I really enjoyed. During that retreat, the decision was made that I would go get some financial training and move toward chief financial officer and out of project management. Last week, we landed a new 12 to 15 month project, and guess who is now the project manager? We just hired a new project manager. Guess who is supposed to be training and mentoring him even though I am not his manager? That is still my dad. I am so burnt out from the pandemic and trying to figure out how to do my job, what my job even is, and what any sort of pathway toward a job here that I like looks like, that I have been pretty checked out for the last 2 months. Yesterday, my dad confronted me about that. He asked, "Have you decided construction is not for you?" It hurt, and I kind of tried to explain everything above, but I am really close to just saying, yes, construction is not for me, I am out, and blowing up the last 10 years worth of a career I have been trying to build here. It would be so much simpler to be out, but I have a lot of pride in this place. It is basically another family member, and I love that it is an ethical company that supports real careers and puts its employees first. But I have not been happy here for a while. I loved putting together and running that strategic retreat, but now all that work feels like a waste of time because we are not doing anything with it. I feel so stuck and cannot see any way out besides just blowing it up. My relationship with my father and brother would be fine if I left. They would understand. The company would figure it out, or it would not, and my dad would have to sell. I do not know, at some point it is still just a business, not actually a member of the family, right? I know I have skills that would make this place better, but I feel like they are atrophying after years and years of banging my head against a wall and not getting any sort of direction, plan, or mentorship from anyone here, and feeling like all my efforts to develop my role here are just me flailing about. My passion for this place is gone. Maybe that is just post-pandemic blues. But I do know I would feel so free if I hit the eject button. I could go back to school, I could find work or volunteer for causes I care about, I could be a more present mother and spouse if I did not work here. Maybe that is the right path, to separate family and work and just let the chips fall where they may. Note that my spouse also has a full-on career working 60 hours a week for one of the tech giants, so balancing work and family is really hard with both of us having career-type jobs and small kids. While my income is great to have, it is not necessary for our financial stability. The same would not be true if we lost my spouse's income. Any advice would be much appreciated. Update: a lot has changed and a lot has not. Ultimately, I am still with the family construction business, and I suspect I will be for the rest of my career. 2 things really hit me after my letter was published. The first was that I did not really spell out what I like about my job, which you called me out on, so I gave that some thought. On good days, I love my job because I get to problem solve either internally or on a project. Often, I am working to understand processes, figure out next steps, facilitate communication, and find solutions. Every day is different and full of potential. I also love my company because we are the type of employer I think all employers should strive to be. We are here, yes, to make money, but also to allow our employees to have a career that supports them in the unfolding of their lives. Just the other day, one of our employees thanked me for this being a wonderful place to work that has supported her through real health issues. She said she was glad I was starting to take over the reins as the next generation because she knew I would continue to retain that culture of family. Then, just last night, I attended an award ceremony where one of our projects was recognized for the historical restoration of a building that was falling apart. This award-winning building is in my neighborhood. It is a place where my family goes to hang out, and where I now take my kids for the winter farmers market. It is a building that will be part of my larger community for the next 50 or more years, and my company did that work. I feel real deep satisfaction some days. I really like and respect both my father and my brother, who I work with daily. None of that came through in my letter, and it was really helpful to catalog all of that good stuff because afterward the hard stuff I was focusing on and wrote to you about suddenly loomed less large. I also have to say thanks to all of the advice that came from the commentariat that really helped me look at my situation differently. Specifically, I was really taken aback by their accusations of sexism toward my father. I found myself pretty insulted on his behalf because he is the person who has steadfastly been my champion. We have had blunt conversations about the dearth of women in construction and why, and he sees what this industry is like and does not think it should be this way. He wants capable people in places of leadership, including capable women. He believes I have the skills and ability to do it. We just have not been able to figure out how to get me there or how to get him to let go. Ultimately, the comments made me realize I was doing a lot of this to myself. I was taking on the human resources stuff, volunteering to pick up the 401k administration, ordering the laptops, fixing the website, moving into the financial side of the company. Long story short, I had to ask myself if I was being the sexist one by taking on all the administrative tasks that needed doing when they did not feel like actual moves upward. I personally did not need to own any of it. I just kept taking it on because someone needed to. Maybe it was internalized sexism, or maybe it was just being bad at delegating, but I finally saw it thanks to all of you. So we have since hired a new office manager and director of human resources at my behest, and oh my goodness, yes, this person is worth their weight in gold and now enjoys doing and does well all the administrative stuff I had taken on. The new project manager whom I mentioned in the letter has since started and I am training him, which means he is learning to manage projects the way I want him to and has been a great addition to our team. We have also since brought on a vice president of marketing and design, who is potentially going to be our interim chief executive officer instead of me taking the reins directly from my father. This makes a lot of sense in many ways, not least because he has more experience in the industry and with working as an executive, but also because him taking responsibilities from my father is just less fraught. So now I am back to being mostly a project manager, which I enjoy and am good at, with elements of being a manager. I am still a leader here, I am on the board of directors and get to weigh in on decisions and what direction we head. People seek out my advice and ask me to address issues. While the immediacy of taking over my father's role is gone, it is still very much the long-term plan. Though the plan is more fuzzy than it is on the to-do list, do not worry. In the near term, I need to focus on landing projects so we can pay these new hires who are doing the stuff I do not want to, which seems like a good trade-off to me. Overall, I am really proud of the moves I've had this company make over the last year, and specifically the last couple of months. The hires, the new projects, the changes in roles, and the leadership and accountability structures I have put in place. I appreciate the perspective Allison and the commenters gave me. It helped me figure out a way through to the other side during a rough time. 3 years later, OP gave us their second update. I wrote to you way back in 2021 when I was trying to decide whether or not to stay in the family business, and in 2024, I sent you my update. I have since stepped into the role of Chief Executive Officer for better or worse, and I am now facing an ongoing issue for the first time as the leader of this company. We have 3 family members who are part of the business now. My father, majority owner and president, myself, Chief Executive Officer and minority owner, owner, and my brother, vice president and minority owner. My brother and I have the same ownership stake, and the idea was that the company will transition to us and we will be equal business partners. But my brother is undependable. My guess is that he has depression, anxiety, or some type of mental health issue that he has never addressed, which means he is often mildly unreliable and then every once in a while drops the ball in a spectacular fashion that leaves other people to clean up his mess. We have had conversations about this on a number of occasions over the past decade, but about 3 years ago, it really seemed like he was doing much better. He was showing up, answering his phone, responding to emails, doing his job well, and actively participating in executive planning. He said he wanted to be here with me to lead our family business for the long term. That felt wonderful. The idea of having a partner in this family business where it can feel very high stakes and very lonely was such a relief. My brother is smart and thoughtful, and I trust his judgment and views, which often differ from mine, which is great in a business partner. Shortly after that was when long-term plans for ownership were being put into place, and actual ownership stakes started to change hands. I thought my brother and I were going to be a great team, but 18 months ago, there was an incident where he went uncommunicative for a week and left a project manager in the lurch. We had to scramble to find a subcontractor to complete our work. Eventually, he showed up and said he would not do it again. And then a year ago, he left on his honeymoon having completely failed to get a project with a hard deadline started, leaving me to scramble to make apologies to city officials, track down materials, ask for extensions, and generally get really ticked off at my brother. Once he got back, I, in the presence of my father, told my brother that he needed to see a therapist or in some other way address his lack of dependability, or I would not go into business with him. He agreed and said he had already talked to his doctor about getting a referral. Over the last year, I have asked a couple of times if he has made any progress with getting help, but he has always said he was waiting on insurance or for an appointment, etc. Over the last month, he has gotten shaky again, being less and less responsive. Then 2 days ago, I found out he was leaving the country the next day for 2 weeks. He never told me. I found out from my mother. We once again have a project left in the lurch, making other people scramble. He left one of our crews short a member. He gave his guys only 1 workday's notice, and another employee is scheduling things that he should have scheduled. I've also come to discover that he has put off scheduling a kickoff meeting for another project for the past 3 weeks, ignoring emails from an angry project manager for the state. How do I deal with this? I know I do not want to be in business with my brother under these circumstances. I said that last year and I meant it, and I set a boundary, and here we are, and it is time to enforce this boundary. I know all that, but I do not know what to actually do and what to actually ask for. My dad sees all this and is supportive of me. My brother has been doing this to my dad for nearly a decade, and I think my dad is even more fed up and upset than I am. My dad is also a bit of a hothead and a dictator. He wants to straight up fire my brother. I do not know. Maybe that is best, but my brother has good qualities, good skills, and he is an owner, and he is my brother. What about a performance improvement plan? A leave of absence? A change in role, taking him out of leadership? Or did that ship sail last year? Part of what is so hard is that I love him, and he is falling apart at work because of very real, very challenging issues in his personal life. The other part is I lived the same childhood as my brother. We had an alcoholic mother, and my parents went through a terribly messy divorce, and all that created issues around communication, confrontation, self-worth, and shame for all of us. Issues that I have worked hard to overcome through my own therapy and coaching. So I am deeply empathetic to why my brother is the way he is. I do not want to blow up my relationship with him or my sister-in-law, but I cannot do it like this anymore. Ultimately, if we keep going like this, the relationship is already destroyed because I am so frustrated and angry. I could probably work with him somehow if he would just communicate with me. If he had just told me he was going to be on vacation, that he had been ignoring these emails, that he was stalling out. But we have been saying, please, for the love of everything, just communicate for nearly a decade, and nothing has changed. It has never really gotten better except for that brief period 3 years ago. I have read through your archives looking for family businesses hitting similar issues, and these 2 stories really hit home. We are experiencing these issues. The hit to morale and people talking about leaving based on family members being treated differently. So I know we need to change, and I know there is no way to do it without it being sad and painful. Any advice you could offer to help me figure out some options to move forward that fall between keep doing what we are doing and getting the same results and fire him as soon as he steps off the airplane would be much appreciated. My brother gets back in 2 weeks and I need a game plan for what our conversation is going to look like. Final update. The news is all positive, but the path there was not without its challenges. When I wrote in, my brother had gone on vacation without giving any notice again, leaving me and others in the lurch. Many commenters supposed he was entitled and spoiled, making big money for doing nothing, but this could not be further from the truth. We are a mid-sized family business. All of us work very hard, and everyone is paid a solid livelihood, including the family owners. But no one is making Fortune 500 money. On the other side of the coin, all the same executive pressures exist. The responsibility to keep this place going, to make the right choices to survive a recession, survive the competition, and survive the changes in technology, workforce, and varying governmental requirements is intense. My brother was buckling under the stress of living up to everything, not least of which was being pulled between my father's expectations and the expectations of his wife, neither of which he could meet, and neither of whom he could figure out how to talk to about the reality of what he could and could not do. Then go ahead and add the pressure of a very successful older sister who is his boss to the mix. Simply put, he was freezing up and stalling out in the face of all that conflict. This is the thing about family business that nothing and no one can really prepare you for. People tell you to compartmentalize. They tell you to separate business from family. They tell you not to let the two worlds mix. But the reality is that you are sitting there at all times, being both a daughter and a manager, a sister and a colleague, a parent and a boss, a child and a subordinate. There is no separating, no putting on different hats, no being two different people inside yourself. You are just one person, and there actually is no way to keep your family history from impacting your reactions to the other person, and no way to inure one way you have to relate to someone from impacting the other way you relate to them. When it is good, it is really good, but when it is hard, it is everything that is hard about family combined with everything that is hard about business, which is hard indeed. So the very hard choice I made was to decide that I had to do what was best for the company, for the sake of myself and all my colleagues, and to let go of the rest. I had to be okay with losing my relationship with my brother for the sake of the business. When my brother returned from his trip, I put him on unpaid leave and told him that if he wanted to rejoin the family business, he would need to come back to a labor and field-only position without any authority. My brother is actually very talented and skilled in many ways, just not as a project manager, so keeping his skills in our workforce was in the best interest of the company, and I told him so. But I fired my brother and told him he would have to reapply for a new position because his old position no longer existed. Then, as his sister, I told him I loved him. I told him I would be happy to help him financially while he was out of work. I told him I would be happy to help him find a therapist. I would be happy to support him and his family in any way they needed during this time, just not through the company. I tried to be there for him, even as I was the one firing him. He was never upset with me. He saw all of it. He knew he had let everyone down. He knew why I was doing what I was doing. He left the office that day feeling even more awful and more horribly guilty about the whole situation. It took him about 6 weeks of not working, of dealing with the implications of what was happening, and of finally being honest with his wife about all of it, for him to come to terms with everything, but he did. He is now regularly seeing a therapist, ironically my therapist, which is a good thing because she is great, and he is starting to deal with some of the baggage from our childhood. Eventually, he did come back to work. Now, day to day, he is just a mason laying brick and block at the direction of others. He was on hiatus for a while from his ownership duties, but he is now back on our executive team since he is still an owner and an officer. Those meetings are after hours, so they do not interfere with his field duties. It is still a little bit of a weird setup because it is still family business, but he is doing his job well and he is much happier now that his role matches his capabilities and he is not constantly worried about dropping the ball or not meeting expectations, and so am I. Confused Friend said, I see a person who is really good at giving her family grace. I hope it continues to work out for her and that they continue to show up for her. To this user Final Hex said, well, it seems like she learned it from her family. Like, her brother does not really resent her for firing him. She trusted her dad would forgive her if she walked away and let the business crash. This is the kind of family that deserves grace and gives it in return. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, Gamersupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.